Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't have many words. Today I went to the pyramid and when I went out, I almost faint again. So I spent the whole day in bed again. And an intense day to finish the week of subconscious. Today I just wanted to talk about this image that I have here regarding something that I wrote in the post, which is, I think, better written, and that is regarding the subconscious. Subconscious is our topic today. I hope you can see it well. So the image that we have here explains our conscience. So we can take that this shape here, which is the being, is like an iceberg in the middle of the sea, in the ocean. So the part above the line is the conscience, the conscious. The part that is below, under the water, is the unconscious. And then all the things that are like the air around the upper part, the conscious, is what we call supraconscious. And the part below, surrounding with water, the unconscious, is what we call the subconscious. The division is because of this line here of the water. That means supra means above and sub means below in Latin. Remember that conscious comes from the word con, which is together, xie, that means to divide, to discern things, and ens, that means the being. So is a being that can understand the separation or the different parts of something all together. That's a conscious being, okay? So a conscious being is the one that knows how to discern, and basically all the beings in the planet, all the humans, are just aware of a tiny part of themselves, can realize about just tiny little parts, can discern about a little bit of what reality is, what oneself it is. And the rest of it, like the 80% of ourselves, is unaware, so it's unconscious. The word un means no, so a lack of. So it means that we have no clue, no idea of how to discern, how to understand the different parts that are within us, inside of us. So that's why the unconscious. This line here is the one that we would call the conscience, which is the division that we are aware that we know things and we don't know things. So we are aware of it. So since the 20th century, psychology has divided this interpretation of the being in between the conscious and the unconscious, because basically is how we understand people. Like, we are aware of our lives, we are aware of things from current common lives, and the decisions that we take, but there are many other things that are unaware, like emotions, traumas, feelings, attitudes, many things that we have within ourselves that we have no clue. So that's why in the unconscious we have so much information from our own life, from our experiences that we don't recognize, that we don't know. And in therapy, usually we ask questions to the conscious so it can help discern what is inside the unconscious. So we can understand that. We can understand what is shaping where we are now, the whole. Since the 19th century, people in psychology used to speak also about the superconscious and the subconscious. So these two topics would describe much more of what the being is. But usually in the 20th century, the psychologists started to unify the subconscious with the unconscious. Why a lot of people mistake both of them and have no clue how to divide or how to understand the difference between these two, because usually in psychology we used to call both like if it is the same, like so both concepts were encoded in the unconscious, and we say that all this here is the unconscious. So in the other hand, we have the superconscious. The superconscious is beyond the conscious, because it's something that we don't have any control of. There are things that just happen that we cannot control them, but even though they bring us coherence and order in our life. So the superconscious is not hiding anything, is using everything to help the conscious. So for example, the nerve system in the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system in biology is something that helps the conscience in order to recognize the environment. So it's something that you cannot control, and also all the previous processes in order to get an idea, the connections of data that you have in your brain before you can take an action, all those things together in our life, but we cannot control them, is what we call the superconscious. So you can have it the physical way with the nervous system, you can have it in the emotional level and also in the mental level, or putting there in the ideas. And also the higher self is inside the superconscious, is a part of it. It's not that the higher self is a part, or it is the superconscious. Okay? Much more about a part of it in the spiritual part of the superconscious. So you can say that the superconscious is the one that helps us to bring order, that helps us to be clear, to bring light into all the concepts. So all the superconscious is working for the conscious to be conscious. Okay, and in the other hand, we have the subconscious, which is like the chaos, which is all things that we hide and we have not control, not understanding of anything, and it's in the darkness, in the shades. So the superconscious is the plane where our higher self connects, our guides, angels, masters, all these beings from other dimensions, they communicate with us through the superconscious. And it is like the air that is surrounding the tip of the iceberg. So in the other side, the subconscious is where we hold the chaos of all our fears, our traumas, but also all the memories of past lives, of other realities, memories from all the history that are not ours from this life that are from the entire reality. So the subconscious is not something of my own, it's something I share with many. The same way as the supraconscious, because we can find other icebergs in the ocean. So it's the environment that holds all that. This is why when we try to remember past lives and other realities, that information can be mixed with information of others. In the same way as the superconscious, when we receive messages from the higher levels of realities, each one of us will receive it and perceive it from a different point of view. So I think that now you can understand what is the subconscious. And as you see, is a chaos. This is why the subconscious can bring us so to the depth and bring so much chaos, because it's very deep and dark. In the past, we used to make these proofs, tests that were terrible. On one hand, we had this test of walking through the desert, crossing the desert without water, anything, not knowing about anything, about where to go. Only knew that had to cross it, and it could take a long time. And during that time, we would face the subconscious. And on the other hand, there was another test that was being inside like a cave or a closed spot where it's all dark. And you also had no clue about the time when to come out. And you could start to get crazy. So basically, the goal of these two tests was to break the conscious, the ego, the one that controls, and start to break the unconscious with all the emotions and the suffering. And after that, you start to get crazy, delusion, and you lose it. So this test, by doing this, was if you are able to hold it, if you are able to manage the subconscious, where all the mess is there, all the information, all the delusion. And if you do so, if you manage to control all that thing, so you become a genius, because you have no limits. You can do anything. It's very powerful to be able to connect with the subconscious, because basically the subconscious is like the ocean that holds all the icebergs. Is huge. It has a lot of power. So when you dive into the ocean, into the subconscious, you start to manage that power. And if you cannot do it, you get crazy. Of course, that there are many ways in which you can connect with the subconscious. You can go through insomnia, not sleeping. You can do some meditations, use some sacred plants, drugs. There are many different ways for each person to reach the subconscious. But I would advise to everybody to have a purpose, a question in order to do that, because you need to have a goal, a north, like a compass to follow. Otherwise, it's not good. It could be bad. So to get into the subconscious, the main clue is to lose the ego, to lose the control. This is why when you try to get into the subconscious, is you need to expand yourself, loosen yourself, and that's why it seems that you're becoming crazy. And through that craziness, madness, you can start to see everything, like how everything is connected and not linear. And from the subconscious, one can be much more aware of all the memories that connect throughout the conscious. So in order to be connected with the subconscious is needed for us to be a little bit crazy. So when people used to say to me that I am crazy and what I do is madness or whatever, my only answer would be like, yes, indeed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. The vibration for today, the statement for today is, I am the infinite dreamer. The code today is the age of Gemini. Between the years 4430 BC and 6580 BC, approximately, was the era of the great migrations. Humans from all parts of the world began to move on the plains to migrate, looking for new places where to settle down. The different cultures didn't have an established land, and the road belonged to everyone. Communication between the groups was individualistic and familiar. The construction of the first stone circles began, from which today we can still see some in resonance with those past eras. the infinite dreamer. I am the infinite dreamer. I am the infinite dreamer. I feel, I feel, I feel. From this feeling, from the deepest part of my subconscious, I expand my torus. I speak as an ocean. I am infinite. And I transcend what I think I am in order to connect with the inner infinite potential within me. And each one at its own time, come back here and now. Thank you everybody for having accompanied me another week in this. See you tomorrow at the same time to begin with the emotional week of Cancer.